I was really hoping that it wouldn't come to this. Let's get into it. So I am no music connoisseur, okay? I am no
Greg Tanner.
But I have been having a lot of thoughts about this new Chance the Rapper album, The Big Day, mainly because, as you can tell from the fadedness of the t-shirt and the holes in it, I am a fan of Chance. At one point in time, I would say that I was a definite stan. I got hip to Chance back in summer of 2013. I had seen his name come across my timeline before, but it wasn't until one of my Twitter followers tweeted out the video to everybody something that I actually listened to him for the first time. And I was immediately enamored by this guy that sounded like nothing and nobody I had ever heard before.
Swallow them synonyms like cinnamon, cinnabon. Keep all them sentiments down to a minimum.
The fandom was instant, okay? I never looked back. Until recently. If someone were to come up to me today and ask me, musically speaking, why should they be a fan of Chance the Rapper, I can tell you that not one song from this album would be on that list. And that sucks because even though I don't necessarily consider myself a stan at this point in time, I still do, like I said, consider myself a fan because that's just the kind of impact that Chance has had on me. So to be where we're at now, where essentially ever since he blew up, his music hasn't really been connecting with me as well as a lot of his older fans, is a bummer. And this isn't to say that he's just been putting out complete trash since then, because this isn't the case. Though he would kind of start to lose some of his fans with the release of Coloring Book, just because it was such a stark contrast to what we knew of him pretty much up until that point. That wasn't the case with me. Yes, it's no acid rap, but Coloring Book still holds an immense amount of value for me. Now, though this is the case, like I said, this Coloring Book era is when the change in his musicianship started happening. And since then, I think that it's only unfortunately gotten worse. And now we have this album. Though some love it, plenty of people hate it, and honestly for good reason. One of the most pervasive things that I've been seeing with the release of this album are people asking questions like, well, what happened, or why is this the case? And unfortunately, I think that this album highlights a lot of those reasons. So before we get into anything, let me just say this, because I know that this is one of the biggest arguments that people have against other people who rightfully critique Chance and this album.
You don't like his new music because it's too positive for your demon-filled hearts.
And yes, okay, you're right, to a certain extent, okay? I'd be lying to you if I said that there haven't been times where I've been like,
we need to just get him back on the drugs.
But in all seriousness, it's not like this is the first time that Chance has made music that revolves around love, positivity, or sentimentality. In fact, his willingness to allow for an unashamed vulnerability to shine through in his lyrics is one of the things that really made him stand apart from his other rap contemporaries, with some of these songs being some of his best work.
I wanna kiss you on your band-aids. Wanna make you a house that's man-made. I want you as my bandmate. I've got a lady friend.
Better than rhymes, nickels, dimes, and dollars and dubs is dialing up your darling just for calling her up. It ain't nothing better than falling in love.
Also, my argument isn't based in an opposition to growth, to a person maturing, or to a person putting out positive stuff. In fact, I think that we need more of that. The things that you surround yourself with and the things that you take in have an effect on you and your life to be. And so to have someone like Chance that is able to reach the masses in the way that he is, do so by spreading positivity and by talking about and showing that it's cool to want to work on yourself and society, I think is great.
But.
Did you say but? When it comes to the case of Chance, though his transformation has had a positive impact on him as well as society, when it comes to his artistry, more specifically his music, I do think that it has suffered in some ways, this album being one of them. So let's go ahead and dead this idea that Chance's music is somehow free from critique just because it's not promoting negativity.
And we can't boo you because you're singing about Jesus.
Now, if you couldn't already tell, like a lot of other people, I was not a fan of this album.
That was some bullshit. It's okay to call some shit bullshit.
So one of the biggest critiques that I've seen people give about the album, I think would fall under the idea that there's a lack of complexity in perspective. The Chance of today loves his wife, is rich, loves his wife, has a contemptuous relationship with fame.
I am A-list! I am A-list!
and also loves his wife. At least this is according to the album. Yes, he touches on other things, like I know that nostalgia and dance music are heavy on this album.
My album is about or based off of my wedding day, and when you get married, there's a lot of nostalgic feelings and just remembering things.
But those are the three main themes that he really focuses a lot of his content on. My problem isn't that he talks about these things. My problem instead lies in the way in which he goes about doing so. Whereas the Chance of a couple of years ago wasn't afraid to contemplate his own anxieties.
Take a break when I break my leg. Say the day when I take her hand and she break my heart and she take her arm and her leg and the car and the kids and the court taking course on me.
Flaws.
I'ma tell you like, don't you look up to me. Don't trust a word I say. Don't you end up like me if you learn one thing today.
And or complicated relationships.
Let's get lost. Let's get lost.
All of which he may or may not have actually experienced at the time.
Kiss the kids and kick the dog and fix the dinner, fix the faucet, wash the dish and wish for rain, and when it pours, make sure in the midst of all, you don't forget to call me to come back.
The Chance of today, in regards more specifically to this album, gives the rather one-dimensional perspective of everything's great. Yes, you could say he gives the introspection on songs like We Go High, Do You Remember, 5-Year Plan, and Zanies and Fools, but for an album with 22 tracks, it's not nearly enough. And because of that lack of complexity, that makes whatever message that Chance is trying to put out in the actual songs after a while come off as being overkill.
My wedding was the best wedding of all time. They need to make a movie about it.
It's like, okay, we get it, but what else? And if you don't provide a what else, then people will start to tune out.
The whole message and meaning behind this song, and a lot of songs gets lost when you try and make the song too catchy or sound too good.
So I know that whenever Chance is working on a project, that whatever is going on in his life tends to shape the main narrative of them.
Okay, we have school, we have acid, we have faith and family.
So, okay, fine. Let's then go with this idea that this is what Chance is feeling. Maybe he literally has no problems, no fears. Okay, he's entitled to create something that reflects his reality. However, this is where the problem of the length of the album then comes into play. If you're essentially only going to be talking about the same thing or coming to the same conclusion in every single song, then you really don't need 22 songs to do so. The longer the album, the more that you are going to have to prove to people why it is that they should still be listening to your project. If you don't, then a lot of songs are going to start to feel like filler songs, and then people will feel like their time is being wasted. And that's exactly what happens with this album.
It's gonna be it. That's the album right there.
That's it.
Now,
for this video, I've had to listen to this album a lot more than I would have liked, and especially within the short amount of time that I had to do so. And without fail, by the time I reached track 10, I am tired, okay? And I'm not even halfway through the damn thing. That is a problem. This is where I think had Chance cut a good number of songs from the album, the criticism, while it would still be there, wouldn't be as big as it is. Because did we really need Hot Shower? I mean, really?
I got muscles like Superman.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
And I get that some people may say yes, so okay, fine. Let's then go with this idea that Chance really did need Hot Shower on this album. Not only that, he did need for the album where he's rapping about the same things to be 22 tracks long, because it's dance music and it's meant to resemble more of a playlist for a wedding.
That's the good part about the album being a wedding-based album, is like, there's a lot of different styles of music you can dance to.
This is where I then feel that the problem of the concept of the album shines through. Now, I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, but because of the lack of dimension and introspection, there's essentially a lack of story, which then makes the concept of the album itself feel fairly half-assed. I think that the concept of an album revolving around Chance's wedding day could have worked. Besides the obvious of getting more into his head and hearing more of his raw thoughts, had he perhaps made the songs tell the story of a man on his wedding day, from the time he wakes up to the preparation to actually getting married and then the celebration afterward, that would have been a much more cohesive narrative. And with the skits, instead of making them feel as if they were random afterthoughts, they should have been introduced much earlier in the project, been a bit shorter, and consisted of more family members giving their words of of wisdom and perspective on life, love, and marriage. I didn't hate the skits. I just think that more skits like that would have made them more powerful and thus made the concept of the album more definitive and perhaps helped to fight its apparent lack of cohesiveness, what with all of its random features on it where a majority of them outshine Chance. And that's another thing. I think another reason as to why me and a lot of older Chance fans have been so disappointed with this album and a lot of his more recent work is because he's being outshined. I remember there was a point in time where whatever song he was on, whether it was his or someone else's, Chance was the one doing the outshining. And now he's the one being outshined.
I had a vision and the vision was a tunnel with a door like a funnel for precision. Just a mission, no decision. Narrowing as it beckons me. More of a slide than a hallway. More of a hive than a hiding place. More of a hike than a walk or a stroll as a stride through a hole in the wall in a crawl space.
Now this last point is something that I have had a lot of time to think about because like I said, this noticeable change has been going on for a while. I too have been trying to wrap my mind around it. And though I think that it definitely rings true for this album, I think that it speaks even more so to Chance's more recent overall body of work. And what I'm getting at are his lyrics. A lot of people would contend now that Chance just can't rap like he used to, like he's lost it, which would make his name all the more ironic.
This is too positive. It's too positive. Sorry.
But I'm not going to subscribe to that ideology, though he does seem to not only be singing, but also draking on our asses.
Sing all you want, just don't drake on they ass.
And though he has given us what I would like to call lazy lyrics, or essentially lyrics where you can tell didn't really require much from Chance,
Then she went and put that booty on that Gucci belt.
he has still had some shining moments over the past couple of years.
Hello rap game, ni hao, how you doing? I didn't took my time, now it's time to take my turn. I'm tryna what you do for fun. Smoke a blunt, spades with the jokers playing poker. Me and Oprah just might go for lunch. No one saw it coming, man, they all gone. Everybody said Paul, man, Paul walked home.
Now, in trying to be as impartial, objective, and honest as I can be, I will say that in having to listen to this album all of the times that I did, that the lyrics weren't as bad as I initially thought they were. But that's not really saying much because while there were some shining moments on certain parts of certain songs,
If I said it, I meant it. If I'm dead, it's cemented. And cinder block cemeteries already ascended.
One day you get one oak, then pop it out. And popping out don't seem as popular as just passing out.
The halo becomes hollow, depending how low.
there were far too many lows for my liking.
I'm not single no more. I'm not single no more. I'm not single no more. I'm not single no more.
Cut this shit off. What the? Come on, Chance.
But either way, the point that I'm getting at is that Chance obviously still has it. I mean, look at a song like First World Problems. Though it may be a bit soft for some,
I saw God, but then God told me not to go inside.
I think that First World Problems is a song that perfectly marries the new Chance with the lyrical and introspective Chance that we've come to know and love.
First world problems that niggas make up. Have a dream and then never wake up. When so much turns to too much. Have a dream and then never wake up.
What is this quiet storm medley?
And so that then begs the question of, well then why aren't people liking his lyrics? If it's obvious that he still has it, or if he still does have it, then why isn't he giving it? And I think that this has something to do with the idea of metaphors versus statements. Whereas the Chance of 5 or 6 years ago would rap in a metaphorical, almost coded way, complete with his own Chanish language.
You feel like Kool-Aid in a wine glass with your fine ass. You find as 2 grapes getting stomped out by a giant cat. That language be that Chanish, but muy caliente.
The Chance of today speaks very matter-of-factly, making statements and declarations about his love for God, his daughter, and his family.
It's about what I'm going through, so.
With Chance's music today, there is no room for interpretation. But in there being no room for interpretation, he's also seemed to have essentially lost his uniqueness that was his own rap style.
I'm off the top. I'm off Ciroc. I'm off the pot. I'm off a lot. They gave me 10 days off. That's an awful lot. I was off campus, but the officer told the office that he saw me from the parking lot.
The thing that had me and others like me wanting more. He says what he means and means what he says. Chance now raps as if he knows that people are listening and with the awareness that he knows that he makes an impact on those very people.
I believe that there's you have the ability to share the wrong thing.
Chance's rap style back then was a bit more cat and mouse. You for sure were not going to catch or understand all of the wordplay, entendres, and imagery that he was putting forth just off of one listen, and sometimes not off of any listen.
I've been fishing for a minute, Only I know that a pawn is a trade, and a rookie for a castle like tuition for a final, playing hooky for a tassel, spend a minute on a minor.
His music oftentimes would beg for multiple listens and lyric searches because whether it was the way that he would pronounce something,
trips to continents, constant, mixed consonants and vowels and mispronounce it,
or the figurative language that he would use.
It's either a migraine or an aneurysm. These catchy anecdotes analyzing adolescent adaptation to good mannerisms.
Or the tongue-twisting manner in which he would say it in. There was no way that you would fully capture everything that he was trying to evoke or say.
Can't forget how the spoon was the bowl for the soup for his arm when his arm had a cold.
So it then became like a journey that one embarked on where you're trying to understand the meaning to all of these different possible interpretations. And that doesn't happen too often, if ever, with this album. I cannot recall one single time where in listening to this album I was like, damn, I need to rewind that back. I know exactly what Chance is saying, and that's the problem. On this album, as a way of evoking imagery and providing insight into the kind of person that he is now, with his raps, Chance uses a lot of similes and direct comparisons that make for a rather unadventurous and sometimes corny listen.
I'll come back out of breath while your side nigga sitting at the club with a booty on his chin like a clef. Turns out she the Marin kind, very smart and she very fine, and she very kind. Give me kisses in her spare time, and she's very mine.
Especially when you compare them to some of his older stuff, like say his verse on Wendy and Becky.
We used to smoke nickels inside a nickel's paw. I paid the piper, the pickle she used to pick apart. Peppermint sticks in her middle, brittle, a little hard. Cringe when she grinned like the Grinch, that bitch had a little heart.
Or songs like Nah Now.
Chokehold in my wine glass, propose a toast to the noggin. I got holes in my socks and coal in my stocking. Santa was on dirt with all the pole kids and shot him, so I rode to the North Pole with a pole and I shot him.
Or Brain Cells, where from the jump you're thrown into this whirlwind of imagery, alliteration, wordplay, rhyme schemes, and a bunch of other shit that I know that I'm not even well versed in enough to be able to properly talk about.
Here's a tab of acid for your ear. You're the plastic and the passion and the magic in the air. The flabbergasted avalanche of ambulances near. The labyrinth, the pan slab is adamantly here.
With this song and a lot of his older songs, it was almost as if you had to earn true meaning and understanding of them. Whereas with his newer stuff, that mental game isn't as prevalent. As I mentioned earlier, I am all for growth. So I can understand Chance perhaps not wanting to glorify certain things anymore.
I be zen like a motherfucker. Zone like a motherfucker. Bars like a motherfucker. Gone like a motherfucker. Smart like a nigga went to Jones like a motherfucker.
Or perhaps changing the way in which he talks about women.
Going ass bitch. Skeezer ass bitch. Lying ass, tricking ass bitch. Bitch.
I can also understand that Chance is no longer unsure of himself or his future and is no longer searching for meaning because he seems to have found the answers.
You can keep the nose ring, I don't have to soul search.
But I don't think that in maturing or growing as a person that Chance needs to sacrifice things that don't need to be sacrificed. He can still rap about the things that he wants to rap about and still give us bars. I mean, he just did it on YBN Corday's song Bad Idea.
Do that shit for it's too late. Don't ever drink the Kool-Aid. Don't ever think it's sweet. That's that creme de la brulee.
So that then brings me back to square one. The question of why. I know that one of the easiest responses that supporters of this album and of Chance's current music could give would be that music just doesn't resonate with everyone. So therefore, there's a chance that this music isn't going to necessarily resonate with you. If you're not about to get married or are starting a family, then it's not a surprise that you don't like this album. Now, I would be able to get behind that argument had it not been for all of Chance's previous music.
Shut up.
I didn't grow up in Chicago. I've never been suspended from school.
Told on me, got me a 10-day suspension.
I've never seen my friend die from gun violence.
R.I.P. Kevin.
I don't have kids, and I'm also not the most religious person.
We love you, God, Jesus Christ.
But yet his music still resonated with me. So to try to perpetuate this idea that you have to be going through the exact same thing as an artist in order to really connect with their music is lazy, but also an eye-opener. Though it's fairly obvious, but really diving a bit deeper into it, Chance just isn't on the same wave anymore.
A lot of times, to get to a new point in life, a part of you has to die.
Maybe he just doesn't care enough. I mean, it would make sense. He's been able to accomplish a lot of what he's wanted to accomplish already. That rawness and hunger is no longer there because he's now polished and full and is now working to do that for other people, as well as getting into other things, all of which aren't necessarily strictly music related.
We created Socialworks a little over a year ago for a simple reason. We wanted to give young people a path for expression, a path for engagement, and obviously a path for education.
And so perhaps it just comes with the territory. Like many people before him who started out small and were able to make it big, perhaps Chance is just a product of his success. And you know, it has its cons, but as long as he's happy, which it seems like he is, then who am I to complain? I've wanted for him to see success. I've wanted for him to be recognized for greatness. Did I want for him to be recognized for a great debut album? Yes. Did he make a great debut album to be recognized for? No. So I guess it just is what it is.
Sometimes things just can't be how you want them to be.
Maybe Chance for me, like a lot of you all out there, is like that person that comes into your life for a specific purpose and at a specific time, and then once they complete that purpose, you kind of just go your separate ways. Now, do I want for this to be the case, musically speaking? No, I still fuck with the kid, okay? I want for Chance to come out and prove me and everybody else wrong, change our minds, shut us the fuck up. In preparing for this video and watching all of these recent interviews, I've been reminded why it is that I've been a fan of his for as long as I have. I just wish that the music could have done the same, and what makes this all the more frustrating is that I know the music could have done the same. Chance, off no hate and shit, okay? This album
was not good.
I understand that it may be a bit more personal for you because it's more centered around your wife and your love for her, and you're out here on your positive vibes, doing your grown folks thing. But this album, these songs,
not pointing the fingers, they could have been done better.
I know that Chance still has fire within him. He just needs to bring it out.
I fire on these bitches.
My optimistic Sagittarius nature is telling me not to give up on him, so I'm not going to give up on him. But yo, the heat needs to be brought next time. Chance, you can rap about whatever it is that you want to rap about. Just don't forget to do the thing that made so many of us fans of yours in the first place, okay? Less of this.
Show me all the money that you make off that. That you make off that. Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. Peanut butter jelly with a peanut butter jelly.
And more of this.
Oh, I seen the light, I lost my lighter. Big flip kick or have it in the pocket, fuck your supplier. Lies, leave eyes on fire, fly on the wall, I'm brighter in the darkness of the night in the sky, I get.
I'm still a chain smoking, name dropping, good looking, motherfucker. Mother, shut your mouth, rain broken, Frank Ocean listening, stay inside and we're going gripping, pink, driven. Mother, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, brain broken, Frank Ocean listening, stay inside and wood grain gripping, pain driven, mother, shut your mouth.